friends. Tap your screen if you see this but can't hear it so you can get some audio. So my name is Desiree. I blog over at SLPTalk with Desiree, and I am here to talk to you today about a couple different switch options that are commercial. Well, I mean, I guess they're all commercial, but bought commercially that are affordable, and some different ways you can use them with your caseload that are a little bit of outside the box ways. They aren't necessarily solely for an AAC use. So that is what I'm here to talk to you about today. So I hope that you, as you come in, you're enjoying your Sunday evening. For those of you who are off for break, awesome, congratulations. I'm a little envious of you. I go until Thursday, so I still have a little bit left here, but I do have a lot to do too. So it's a double-edged sword. I'm in work, but I have plenty I could get done. So you have to let me know in the comments, what about you, if you've kicked off your winter break or not. But thanks for coming in. And I will get started. So the first one I'm going to go over are these switches that I purchased at Kohl's. And they are, obviously, you can see, they have that nice visual, that yes-no visual. So I purchased these at Kohl's. They are, and like everything at Kohl's, I feel like is never really full price, right? Don't you feel like it's kind of like always kind of a little bit of a hunt? So they were priced at $28. They were 50% off. And then an additional, I had an additional 30% off and all that jazz. So, because what fun is it without that additional 30% off, right? So these are yes-no ones. I'm going to click my yes back on my board here. Sorry. Okay. These are yes-no switches. What's fun about these is...
Why not? Yes, absolutely.
The yes and the no will kind of switch between what they say.
Nope. No.
Which makes them a lot of fun for the kids. The kids love them. So let me tell you a few ways that I've used them in therapy. So one way I've used them with my articulation students for like a phonological awareness that ties into their articulation. So what I do is, if I would have a group of three, so I had Johnny, Sally, and Susie, I don't know. Johnny would say to Sally, would give her three different words, and Johnny knows what Sally's, or was Sally or Susie going? I don't know. I'm lost track of my made-up students. But so Johnny's giving Sally some words. He's going to give her three words. And I tell him at least one of those words has to contain Sally's target sound. So again, you're increasing that awareness of, for Sally, what she is working on. But also, Johnny is aware of what Sally's working on, but really what his phonological awareness is kind of increasing to help him determine those words. Tell him at least one of the three words he gives her needs to be a yes answer. So we can't just give her three random words, right? So he'll give her a word. So say Sally is working on S, because, Sally, chances are Sally doesn't have her S, right? I mean, that's just the way it goes. So Sally's working on S. So Johnny might say, for his first word, might say ball, okay? And so Sally...
For the last time, no.
Sally would be excited to hit the no button. And then, so he says for the next word, he'll say Sally. Maybe he says Sally.
Right away.
And then she can say yes. And then she has to, when she clicks the yes, because it does have her sound, then she's going to practice saying and make them say it at least 5 times. So I want at least 5. Hi, Nicole. At least 5 great productions. So she'll say yes. And then the third one is a wild card. He might say yes. He might give her another word that has her target sound. He might not. So if he says soup, then she can say yes again, and then say soup, 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 fill up our hand. So what's nice about that is, one, it's incorporating more than one student in your group, so they're active even when it's not their turn. They're determining, hey, what the words are. And phonological awareness, that piece, I like to bring that into my therapy whenever possible with those articulation students. Our kids, it may translate their trouble they're having in articulation may translate to their spelling, may translate to their reading, and phonological awareness is a greater predictor of reading success than even IQ is. So anytime that we can pull that into our therapy is it's of huge benefit. So, okay, so you have there's some artic ways to use it, right? So then let's pull in the social language piece. You can provide a scenario for your student and they decide if it's expected or unexpected. You know, if yes,
Certainly.
I would expect that to happen, or no, I would not expect that to happen. Or on the same line that we were doing the articulation, then have that student determine a scenario. So you're not, you want to have your kids be an active participant in their group, in their therapy process, where we're not always feeding them all of the target words, all of our task cards, I want them to start to generate that too, because that leads to carryover, which is ultimately, that's where we want to be, right? So have that student determine what would be an expected or unexpected scenario. Chances are you've done a lot of task cards, you've done a lot of scenarios, you've given them, so they could spit out one you've already given them. What's the harm? So that they are then retaining the information. That's fantastic, right? So then they can come up with a scenario, and then you can discuss, because who knows, they might think that it's appropriate or expected, and it's really not. So which leads you to a nice conversation too. So far we are articulation and social, right? So then another way would be language. So you have your kid, there's so many different language goals you can do this. Let's be honest, yes or no, right? But you have students that are working on formulating questions. So I like to then pull in their curriculum vocabulary, pull in their if they have a spelling essay, language arts vocabulary list, pull those in if you can, or some of that tier 2 vocab. And have them use one of those words to formulate a question, a yes/no question that they can then ask their other peers in their group. It's fun because they're engaging the other peers in their group. They're asking them a question, and you can add it yes or no. You can, and it kind of almost, not that it's a would you rather format, but it kind of turns into that because they come up with some pretty funny, outrageous questions that they want to know too from their peers. So then they can ask them and then answer yes or no. What's nice about these little yes/no switches, and if you're just coming in, I got these at Kohl's. What's nice about these two is it's kind of fun. At first I thought I bought these with the intention of using them with a little guy I see, and he using them more of an AAC realm, right? But which is great. But what I realized is that they don't just say yes or no, which at first I was like, oh man, I hope that we can kind of generalize this. But it's been really engaging for the kids in therapy. So I just Velcroed them. I don't know if you can see, it's a clear Velcro. I Velcroed them just to the back of a wipe-off board just for some stability. It makes them easy to pass around. But you could just, pass them around otherwise. So those are some ways you can do it. So you can, if you're just coming in, you can see
why not? Yes.
some different ways to say yes. Okay? And some fun ways to say no. Let's be honest, that no button is really fun too. Okay, so there's these. And then here are some other switches that I use. These come in a 4-pack through Amazon. Excuse me, guys. I'm get a little tickle in my throat. I'm kind of fighting off this little cold allergy. I don't know. So these come in a 4-pack. They're 4 different colors. And they are less than $20. And you can then read, they're recordable switches. They're made by Learning Resources is the brand that makes them. They're recordable. And what's nice is you can pop off this the cover's plastic piece and put a picture or something in it. You don't have to. You could just use them without it. But I love to use these with, these are pictures from my phonological awareness pack, but you can use anything in there, any picture in there, letter, whatever. I love to use these when I'm doing a shared storybook activity with my students and have them record. I like to, if my student is stimulable at all, which quite often they are, you can get one good production, right? I like to record them saying the sound because I think it's important for them to hear themselves saying it correctly, not just hearing my input of saying it correctly. I think it's important for them to, in their ear, to kind of tune into how they sound when they're saying it correctly. So this one I programmed to say, okay? And as I would be reading the story, whether it be, there was an old lady who swallowed a bell, or, Take a Mouse to the movies. I'm trying to think of some, Polar Express, some ones that I've been using lately with holiday themes. As I'm listening to them, as they hear their sound throughout the story, they can hit the switch to indicate oh, I heard it. I heard that word and that has my sound in it, right? And then you can kind of, as you finish the page, go over and then have them practice saying some of those words. So again, you're training their ear to listen for it because, for example, they're not going to be just looking for words with K, right? You might hear it in C, you might hear it in CK, you might hear it in CH. Different spelling combinations. So we want to get them used to hearing and listening for it, not just looking for it. And then you're in tune, improving that phonological awareness, improving that carryover because they're more attuned to hearing where their sounds are and producing it. And again, they're driving their therapy, right? And then when they're pressing it to hear it, they're hearing themselves say it. It's again that confidence, like I can do this, right? And then you can kind of go along that way. So that is a way that I use these. I would love to hear what you have to say or any ideas that you have and ways that you use switches or different ways that you can use that, think to use them that with your groups too. Like I said, these are kind of ways that are a little bit outside. They aren't necessarily like a strict, like I'm using this as an augmentative communication device, but to ways that we can use them. Let's be honest, kids like to push a button, adults like to push a button, right? So it's just kind of a nice, fun way to incorporate those a bit into your therapy. So I'd love to hear how you use them. Pop them in the comments below, send me a message, let me know if you find this is helpful or think that somebody else might like that. Share it out or share our SLP Blogger live page with them so they can kind of tune in. I know Nicole was on earlier with some great ideas for different ways to use some white elephant gifts you might get around the holidays. So, there are so many great topics that come up on here that I learned from. So I hope that you learn from them too. But thank you for joining and thanks for spending your Sunday evening with me. Have a great week, whether it be you're relaxing and kicking your feet up and getting ready for your family's holiday or you're rounding out the week like I am at work and enjoying your students. Enjoy them and enjoy your holiday. I will not see you next Sunday. Next Sunday is Christmas, so I think we're going to take the day off, and I'm pretty sure that you'll be spending time with your loved ones, regardless of what your festivities are. So enjoy your next Sunday, and I will see you in a few weeks. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great night.